we don't know why. Because it doesn't make sense to us. And yet, you have completely forgiven us of our sin. So God, this morning we just come and we ask to be reminded. We ask you, Lord, to remind us of who you are and how you play a part with us in life. We ask you to remind us of what you've done and how that affects the way that we go about every day. We ask you to constantly be that reminder because our memory leaks. We struggle to think that it is about us. And so we fall into temptation and go places that we shouldn't be in our lives. So God, this morning, just let this time be a reminder of your patience, a reminder of your love, a reminder of what you have done and how far you have gone and how you continue to go before us. A reminder, Lord, of your presence with us. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on us. Melt us, Lord. Mold us into the image that you would want us to be. Fill us with the power of your Holy Spirit. And use us every day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. So, it's Colossians. And we're going to look at the first chapter, 15 through the 28th verse today, and we're also going to look at Psalms 46 in the midst of this. And I've chosen this passage as the passage before we begin Advent because it is good for us to always have reminders. And as we get ready to jump into Advent, I want to remind you of who God is and why God has done what He's done, and how we end up in the places that we end up. And so I began to look, and one of the best stories that I can find in the Scripture is about Paul and the people of Colossae. The people of Colossae were very good, earnest, heartfelt Christians walking out the journey. And Paul ends up writing them a letter, and the reason he ends up writing them this letter, which is now Colossians, is that it began to leak. In circles around, if you, we have plenty more Kleenex, by the way. I've got bundles of it back here in the back. So it began to leak, and in circles where you go to different kinds of training, they say that vision leaks. And so you have to continually put the vision out there. And in a lot of church settings, I've been to a lot of different seminars and things. And one of the things they say is you literally have to share your vision of your church at least once a quarter. So every 3 months you need to be sharing the vision of your church and reminding your church, reminding the people of what we are doing, what we are in this together, because it leaks. You share a vision, you want to be moving forward, you want to be empowering people, and yet the empowerment, the vision, that which you want to be striving to attain, it has a tendency, if you don't remind people, it has a tendency to leak out of their brain. Well, the truth is, that's just really kind of the way it is for all of us in almost everything. It's not just church. Our vision has a tendency to leak. Our mind has a tendency to leak. And so as I sat in my chair on Monday, I realized that I am one of those people who tends to sit up late at night, and sometimes in my chair upstairs with the television on, sometimes I will come downstairs and get in the chair downstairs while Elizabeth is going off to bed, and I have a tendency to just sit and think. The television for me is not so much what I'm watching as much as it is noise, so that I can just think. Now, I don't want you to think that I am such an incredible thinker that I'm thinking about important things. Sometimes it's just a matter of just thinking and being reminded, there's that remind word again, being reminded of what the day was like, and also being reminded of what the next day needs to be. And I don't know that anybody in this room is any different than me. I sat on Wednesday and Petey said, "You look tired." And I said, it's just been one of those days that I'm not really sure what I did this morning right now. I would have to stop, literally think of what I had done that morning, because the day was just busy all day long. And so each of us has those times that we just sit and we think, not necessarily about anything profound, but we are thinking, and in our thinking, we are literally thinking about the universe. So I want you to kind of join in this journey with me that Paul is taking these people, as he's writing in this letter to the people of Colossae, and he is saying, the very things that you are doing, the very fact that you are a part of a whole. When I'm sitting and thinking in my chair, either in the morning or at night, I am literally thinking of universal things, because I am a part of the whole. I want you to know that as much as you may not like some people, as much as you may not like some philosophies, as much as you may not like some religions, as much as you may not like crybabies sitting on the street from college because they can't do their work because they don't like the outcome of an election, you are a part of them. That may offend you, but you can't deny it. Because they also were created in the image of God. Just like you. Just like me. Because He holds it all together. You don't hold it all together. They don't hold it all together. No system holds it all together. But He holds it all together. And Paul is reminding them of that. I often think about life and how it's playing out. I often ponder the theological issues, such as the sovereignty of God, and I wonder what's going on in our world. Have you ever just kind of gotten deep into your own thoughts and began to think about all of the things of the world? I mean, right now, it's kind of a popular thing to do. I mean, we're watching the world change, and as it changes around us, we have a tendency just to sit and think, well, what's it going to look like next year? What's it going to look like the year after that? And even this morning, just in kind of a little bit of way of confrontation, or not confrontation, but contemplation, Elizabeth handed me my phone, and overnight things happen. Do you know that? Do you know that we're not the only ones, that the world doesn't start with our sunrise and end with our sunset? overnight things happen. And so every morning I get up and I look through my Haaretz feed, because Haaretz is the newspaper in Israel. And as Elizabeth handed me my phone this morning, there were 3 different Haaretz feeds on there, and she said, "What's happening in Israel this morning?" Because you know what? What's happening in Israel affects us. And what happened here affects them. And so that's the way I answered. I said, guess what? Netanyahu, he's getting a little more bold now that Trump's been elected. And she said, well, I thought Netanyahu was pretty bold anyway. I said, yeah, but he's getting more bold. You see, we affect each other. At 7:20 the other morning, as I was getting ready to leave with a busload of kids, my phone buzzed in my pocket, and although it is a $2,500 fine to look at your text messages while you're driving a bus, I looked and Petey had sent a text message. And so I handed it back to Elizabeth to read. Because Petey affects what I do in a day. And although I couldn't text back to you, we affect each other. It was just about 2 hours after that, I get a strange message from someone that I really never talked to outside of absolute necessity. And that absolute necessity is as minimal as I can possibly make that, because I still am holding a grudge. That's the truth. But it said, are we going to get the daily word today? And so I sent him a personal daily word. He said thanks. You see, even people we don't like, we affect. And even people that don't like us affect us.
Amen.
Because it's not about you and it's not about them. It's about the one who holds us all together. So, I can't help but think a little bit about the future and ask questions like, maybe you could quit listening in regard to what the sermon is about and just sit a minute and ponder. In Psalms, we're going to read some Psalms a little bit later, and in Psalms it's called Selah. It means stop, think, ponder. I love ponder. So what's your life going to be like in 5 years? Or 10? Just ponder that a minute. How will the world change? How's the world going to change? How will America change? What kind of joys will I experience in the next 5 years? Maybe 10. What kind of sorrows? How does my faith play out in all of this over the next 5 to 10 years? I'll tell you, as I sit in my chair and I ponder these questions have a tendency to drive me to prayer. Because I just don't know. So Paul is writing to the people of Colossians who are being challenged in their faith journey, much like we're being challenged in ours. Paul is wanting us to hear and understand that it's not up to us to make it all work. I want you to hear that. It's not up to you to make it all work. Did you hear it? Jesus is holding it together. Hear these words from the message in Colossians as we look at Colossians 1:15 through 28. He, that's Jesus, He is the image of the invisible God. We look at this Son and see the God who cannot be seen. We look at this Son and see God's original purpose in everything created. For everything, absolutely everything. Above and below, visible and invisible, rank after rank after rank of angels, everything got started in Him and finds its purpose in Him. He was there before any of it came into existence and holds it all together right up to this moment. When it comes to the church, He organizes and holds it together like a head does a body. He was supreme in the beginning, and leading the resurrection parade, He is supreme in the end. From beginning to end, He's there, towering far above everything, everyone. So spacious is He, so roomy, that everything of God finds its proper place in Him without crowding. Not only that, but all the broken and dislocated pieces of the universe, people and things, animals and atoms, get properly fixed and fit together in vibrant harmonies. All because of His death, His blood that poured down from the cross. You yourselves are a case study of what He does. At one time, you all had your backs turned to God, thinking rebellious thoughts of Him, giving Him trouble every chance you got. But now, by giving Himself completely at the cross, actually dying for you, Christ brought you over to God's side and put your lives together whole and holy in His presence. You don't walk away from a gift like that. You stay grounded and steady in that bond of trust, constantly tuned in to the message, careful not to be distracted or diverted. There is no other message, just this one. Every creature under heaven gets this same message. I, Paul, am a messenger of this message. I want you to know how glad I am that it's me sitting here in this jail and not you. There's a lot of suffering to be entered into in this world, the kind of suffering Christ takes on. I welcome the chance to take my share in the church's part of that suffering. When I became a servant in this church, I experienced this suffering as a sheer gift. God's way of helping me serve you, laying out the whole truth. The mystery has been kept in the dark for a long time, but now it's out in the open. God wanted everyone, not just Jews, to know this rich and glorious secret inside and out, regardless of their background, regardless of their religious standing. The mystery in a nutshell is just this: Christ is in you. Therefore, you can look forward to sharing God's glory. It's that simple. That is the substance of our message. We preach Christ, warning people not to add to the message. We teach in a spirit of profound common sense so that we can bring each person to maturity. To be mature is to be basic. Christ. No more. No less. That's what I'm working so hard. Day after day, year after year, doing my best with the energy God so generously gives me. Beloved, this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Jesus, Paul says, is the good news. He's not just good news for you. He's good news for everyone. He's good news not just for people He's good news for everything. It is all about Christ. It is all about His resurrection. It is all about the way we live in line with that message. Everything. Every day. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's the way Clint Eastwood would have said it. It's all about Him. And yet, that leaks. It leaks as we get up in the morning. It leaks as we walk through the day. It leaks as we lay down at night. I got to be honest with you. I'm gonna boast here. I am excellent. I am excellent at saying a quick prayer before I go to bed, before I actually go to sleep. When I lay down in my bed, when I finally succumb to the fact that the day is done, and that is difficult for me. My wife can tell you that. I will fight it. I mean, I want the day to last longer every night. I will stay up. I will persevere to try to make the day longer. But I am fantastic when I actually lay my head on the pillow to say, "Oh God, thank you for this day." I'm good at that. I'm good at that. That part of me doesn't leak. But oh, I do not remember that at noon. And I struggle with that at 1. And I hardly ever think of it at 2:30. And 3. And 4. And 4:30. Tuesday I think of it at 5:30. Because we set a date to think of it. Wednesday at 6:30, I'm thinking of it. Usually because sometime around 4:30 to 5, I'm thinking, you got to think of this right now. Because people are coming to think of it at 6:30. And I can promise you on Thursday, if I haven't done the right work, I really think of it then. Because I know Sunday's coming. Ron knows exactly what I mean. Because the last thing I want to do is miss out on Saturday, not thinking of it at all, and have to think of it because I know I've got to work on Sunday. You see, that's exactly what Paul's saying. Paul's saying, you aren't responsible enough to even think of it. What would happen? What would happen if Jesus' mind leaked and things just went spiraling out of control? Beloved, I think we've seen that happen at different times in our own lives. Not the fact that Jesus' mind leaked, but the fact that our mind leaked so far that we completely forgot the love, the sacrifice, the resurrection. He holds it together. And so every day, we're responsible. Here's the perspective. Get this. God is not somewhere. God is here. God created you and put particles of Him in you. You don't exist without Him. He holds you together. You see, that's the perspective that we need to live with every single day. Is that without Him, I am not whole. And I'm definitely not holy. what would it really mean? Are you suggesting this morning that I can't do this by myself? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's simple, and we've talked about it at church camp, and we've tried to make some sort of big mysterious thing out of this in regard to this power of the Holy Spirit and the way that God comes together and the way that He formed you in your mother's womb and the way that He created everything. And we talk about this as the mystery. There is no mystery. The mystery is how we have a tendency to allow that to leak. That's the mystery. The mystery is, and I will credit social media for this, the mystery is how we can look on our Facebook page or we can look on our Instagram page and see a beautiful sunrise or sunset, which right now seems to be like the thing to do on Facebook for some reason, and not see God in the midst. The mystery is how we can get up every day and get through the day and breathe all day long and function at all and not see God in the midst. I want us to ponder. So, in order to ponder, we go to Psalms. So I invite you to turn to Psalms 46. I think you're going to recognize this because it's just a pretty normal old psalm. And it's one that you probably should know, only because there is a very, very famous verse in the midst of Psalms 46 that all of us kind of don't have a choice but to know because people have beat us over the head with it so long that there's no way you couldn't get away without knowing it. Psalms 46, I would like for you to listen to, and I would like for you to hear what Paul said to the people of Colossae earlier, and I would like for you to hear it again by the way that it is written in Psalms. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. Ponder that. Ponder that. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar. Kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice. The earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Ponder that. Ponder that. Come and see the works of the Lord, the desolations he has brought on earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Ponder ponder that. You see, we are not alone. Paul is writing to the people of Colossae, and he is telling them, although I don't agree with every part of this is what he's saying.
Why me? Why not you? You mean there's no special? Life is a crapshoot. Like the millionth customer crosses a bridge, gets to shake hands with the governor. You got that picture because you're better than everybody? I'm not. You're better than some, but not as good as others. But you crossed the bridge at the right time. If you wanted to see me, why didn't you just appear over my bed? Hollywood. Next question. People are always praying to you. Do you listen? I can't help hearing. I don't always listen. Then you don't care? Of course I care. I care plenty. But what can I do? What can you do? But you're God. Only for the big picture. I don't get into details. Whatever happens to us? Happens. Yeah, I put in a new blade. You mean there's no plan, no scheme to guide our destinies? A lot of it is luck. Luck? I gave you a world and everything in it. It's all up to you. But we need help. That's why I gave you each other. But if you're so involved with us... Yeah. How can you permit all the suffering that goes on in the world? How can I permit the suffering? Yeah. I don't permit the suffering. You do. Free will. All the choices are yours. Choices? What choices? You can love each other, cherish and nurture each other, you can kill each other. You're also turning the sky into mud. I look down, I don't believe the filth. Using rivers for toilets. Poisoning my fishes. You want a miracle? You make a fish from scratch. You can't. And when the last one is gone, that'll be that. 86 on the fishes. Goodbye sky, so long world, over and out. I thought you said we were going to make it. I said you've got to make it work. You don't care. I do care. But then do something about it. I did. I gave you a mouth, didn't I? Tell people how I feel. What I said. Fine. And how do I convince anybody that I've actually seen you? That you exist? Simple. Show them this.
In 1978, that was pretty earth-shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And although I don't agree with everything, the full theology, what Paul is saying to the people of Colossae is, God is there because you're there. Paul is saying to us this morning, yeah, God holds it all together, but it's up to you to do the things that need to be done. I gave you everything. If you don't believe that, just go back and read the first 3 chapters of Genesis, where he puts us in charge of everything. This is not a sermon on ecology. This is a sermon about lives. God holds it together, but there are people, as Dina expressed this morning, that we never know just how close things are. God has placed us in the midst. He never gives up. Because you're there. We are that particle of God. Christ in us, Paul says. Friday, I just reached a place of frustration. I couldn't take it anymore. And I couldn't take it because there was a young man who was threatening the very safety and fiber of our own kids. And so I said, I'm taking you out of the group. I'm putting you on the bus. You stay there. My frustration level was way beyond what it should have been. And as I drove home Friday evening, which is always a good thing for me to do, and my family knows that I love to drive home in the middle of the night and in the dark, and partly because there's just a lot of thinking that can go on. It's like sitting in your own chair. And so I can just sit there and think, and I began to go back over my day like I do every day, and ask myself the question of why? Why did that get to you so desperately? And it was as though the Lord thumped me on the head and said, you know that sermon you've been working on this week? Do you think I just never get that frustrated and just want to put you on the bus? Because you leak. So as much as I want to give up on that kid, and I'm telling you, I want to give up on that kid. You see, he's never given up on you. He holds you together. Even when you don't think you can be held together, he holds you together. So we come up to names.
Not as easy as it looks, is it, son? It's God business.
They're all out of control. It's mayhem. I don't know what to do.
Well, you're right on time. 7 o'clock.
7th at 7.
Alrighty then. There we are.
It's good.
It's good. It's a wonderful thing. No matter how filthy something gets, you can always clean it right up.
There were so many. I just gave them all what they wanted.
Yeah. But since when does anyone have a clue about what they want?
So what do?
Parting your soup is not a miracle, Bruce. It's a magic trick. A single mom who's working 2 jobs and still finds time to take her kid to soccer practice, that's a miracle. A teenager who says no to drugs and yes to an education, that's a miracle. People want me to do everything for them, and what they don't realize is they have the power. You want to see a miracle, son? Be the miracle.
Wait, are you leaving?
Yeah, I figure you can handle things now.
Well, what if I need you? What if I have questions?
That's your problem, Bruce. That's everybody's problem. You
Keep looking up.
That's our problem. That's everybody's problem. We keep looking for someone to come take us out of our problem. You see, he holds it together. But it's all in us. You know, you can't preach this sermon to everyone because some people don't know what I'm talking about when I say it's all in us. But to you I can. For you know who holds the future. You know what particles he has created in you. Whether we are consciously thinking about him or not, when we do the work that he puts before us, whether it's balancing budgets or cleaning toilets or writing papers or serving clients or changing diapers or teaching students or bagging groceries, if all of it is for Jesus, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. You see, at the very end of this book, Paul pens these words. Whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. It's good. The perspective is ultimately reassuring the world that even though we sometimes see it on the brink of chaos and destruction, Jesus holds it together. We know that. So we have to be reminded to not let it leak. Here's the perspective. Jesus, who created all things, is redeeming all things. That there is no area of creation which he did not create and which is left untouched by his work. Even the things that you don't think have anything to do with him have to do with him. So we can't leave him out. The physical is being redeemed along with the spiritual. You see, we struggle with that. Because we think it's all about spiritual when God says, no, I created you. You are physical. I hold you together. Not just in spiritual form, but also in physical form. God's salvation in Christ excludes nothing. So your work, your play, your body, your thoughts, your spiritual life, your relationships, sex, work, industry, worship, leadership, authority, prayer, community, everything. It's not just the spiritual which is being redeemed, but the physical as well. The gospel leaves no stone unturned. Nothing. He holds it all together. I want you to learn to walk with God. Enoch walked with God. Enoch walked with God every day, and they talked until finally, at one point in his life, he just walked off with God. He didn't die. And beloved, I really believe that the death that we experience is not real death. We just walk off with God. If we never let it leak. And if we trust in him holding it together. It's just a reminder. That's all today is about. It's just a reminder It's a reminder that Paul had to remind the people of Colossae, listen, He is in you. He created you. He is a part of you. And He never leaves you. It's a reminder to us. Don't let it leak. If you think about someone, tell them. If you think about someone, you are probably praying for them. You just didn't bend your knee and fold your hands and close your eyes. That He holds us together, not just as a body, but as a world. We're a part of a whole. And to be whole, we have to have the perspective of being a part of the whole. You're not going to agree with everything, but you can't deny being a part of the whole. It's just a reminder that He holds you and He holds the world. Let us pray. God, today, we need to be reminded of all those times that we take over and become our own creator. We need to be reminded of those times that we really think it's all about us and everything else has to do with the way that we think about it. We need to be reminded, Lord, that it's not just about the special times that we stop and be still, know that you're God. But Lord, you are ever present, constant, always thinking about us. Lord, we thank you that, as George Burns said, I can't not listen. Help us, Lord, to realize that everything, every aspect, every person, every opportunity, every moment, every hour, every day, you are there. You are in. You are about. I thank you, Lord, that you never give up. Keep reminding me. Through people, through the sky, through the trees, even as your servant Paul has written, through the suffering. Because sometimes that's when I see you best. Lord, forgive us for the leakage. Let us clean it up. For you can always clean us up. We ask these things in Jesus' name.